How's it going, rednecks? We are back to working on the yellow Oldsmobile, and I finally found the problem after about a month of doing some researching. I've obviously been working on the blue one, getting that lifted, but if you take a look, this is a new cam sensor magnet. This is the one that's off the car. You notice anything missing? Well, that's not the only problem. If you take a look, we'll go down in here. This is your cam gear. That's your crank. The cam gear right here, this is where that part was bolted onto, or that broke off. And unfortunately, if you look back here, what happened is when that flew off, I think it broke the chain tensioner. And when that happened, it also broke the cam gear. There's plastic that's supposed to be around the gear. Yeah. And with all that happening, I'm afraid it jumped timing. Now, I'm not positive. I did a compression check, and what happens is when you jump timing, your piston will come up and your valves will be coming down to open for either exhaust or intake, and it'll punch a hole in your piston or you'll bend a valve. And I have 145 to 165 in every cylinder, but cylinder number 6. I have about 100 psi. I tried adding oil to it, thinking, you know, this car sat for about 3, maybe 4 years, and maybe the rings weren't setting. That didn't take care of it, so I think I'm going to go ahead and go forward, and I will show you why here in a second. Let's go over there and review the parts that are going to be needed to hopefully get this one running again. Alright guys, we're on the other side of the car over here to review the parts that are going to be needed to hopefully get this thing running. And them parts include a timing gasket cover set, and that will also give me my water pump gasket, the timing chain tensioner, the timing chain itself with the crank sprocket, the cam sprocket, and then we also needed the cam sensor magnet. And on top of that, we are going to need an oil pan gasket set, and that is going to be because when the tensioner exploded into a bunch of parts, and the plastic that came off of the cam gear itself, that all goes straight down into the oil pan. So we need to drop the oil pan out of this thing and get that all cleared out, and we'll be getting to that here in a little bit. But the reason I'm doing all this is because all of them parts together were only $70. I paid $300 for this car, and if you've been watching this channel, we got the calculator out of the dash, we got the CB radio out of it, the amplifier that I use for the drive-in movie setup, that was out of the back of the car, as well as I got to use this as a test dummy for our lift kit. So this car don't owe me a whole lot, and I'm telling you right now, if $70 gets this thing running and I don't have to push it around anymore, it's worth it. So let's get that oil pan dropped and let's see what's in there, and then we can start assembling and hopefully hear this thing run. We've got the oil pan off, and if you take a look at all of that debris in there. And then we got some of the, I'm guessing, cam sensor magnet or the tensioner. But yeah, definitely worth pulling that pan off. If this ever happens to your vehicle, do not skip that step. So I'm going to get all that cleaned out. We got to get the timing chain cover cleaned up and ready to install. And then we can start putting our new parts on. So pretty excited to see if this thing will run. Let's get to it. With everything cleaned up and ready to install, I took the time to get my crank and cam timing marks lined up, and now it's time to remove all of this. So let's get the chain off, get the gears or the sprockets off, and then we can clean this surface and start installing our new parts. Guys, we're here under the Oldsmobile, and I'm going to crank this thing over to see if we got spark. I have the front of the motor assembly put together, so it's far enough that I can see if we got spark. What I'd figure I'd do is I'm going to put you guys up underneath here. I'm going to show you what a rotating bottom end of a engine looks like. Right here are your connecting rods and your connecting rod caps, and those go up to your piston. Those are going to move up and down. This is your crank. That's going to be what rotates. And then here's your bearings that hold your crank in alignment. And this guy right here, that's actually your oil pickup tube that goes in the bottom of the oil pan. And here's your little dipstick tube sticking through. So yeah, let me get you guys set up, and then I will go up top and crank this thing over. Alright guys, that was pretty cool, wasn't it? Figured while we're at it, why don't I show you the spark? See how it's laying all over the place? There, that was the first, it's one good line, it was like do-do-do. We are definitely getting close, guys. We have the bottom end buttoned up. We have the top side all buttoned up. We need to do a few more things, and we'll be able to start this. So, pretty excited. This car hasn't ran in 4 years, so hopefully we can get her going. several reasons why this car may not start. The fuel in it is quite old. The starter is quite weak and isn't cranking it over very fast. The battery that is in it is not very good. And I'm not entirely sure I got the right schematic for these coils for our spark plugs. So yeah, we got a few things going against us, but I'm going to crank this thing over, at least get some of that oil circulating through, that new oil we just put in, and maybe this thing will surprise us and fire right up, but I have my doubts. Here we go. Yeah, that came as no surprise. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these two off and make sure we have spark. And then we'll spray some starter fluid down the intake and see if we can get it to fire off of that. Alright, we got spark. Let's pop this intake tube off, spray some starter fluid down in this thing, and see if it'll run. Well, it is starting and running, but it's only running off the starting fluid right now, so let me see if we can't get this old fuel drained out, get some new fuel ran through the lines, and then we'll try and start it and hopefully she'll run. So, whoo, I'm excited. Recording?
Yep.
Alright guys, we are going to take the Oldsmobile for its first ride and see if the transmission's good to go. I have the engine bay all buttoned up and yeah, it's running pretty good, so let's see what it does. Speedometer don't work. Dude, every gear works. Oh yeah, the freaking brakes. Oh, you want me to close the window? Oh god, it just fell in further. I went the wrong way. Here's the hoping we don't. Ah, there we go. That the battery doesn't die on us. We'll all be walking back.
I mean, you'll be walking back.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, cool.
Brake light. That's why. Nice. Dude, it rides good. Feels like every gear works. It's moments like this you wonder if you got every lug nut tight.
You know, you joke about it the last time.
I know, last time I didn't tighten them. Dude, I'd rock this thing. Push them.
Something rights around.
Yeah, I turned them on so I can see.
Right. Okay.
Alright, well, we better turn around before we run out of luck here. Who knows how fast that battery's draining. I don't have an amp light yet.
But you didn't have one to start with.
I did when the alternator went out on my blue one though. Nah. Yeah.
Burn out.
No way. That's to the floor.
You pissed off the brake light again. left it smooth though.
It drug it out, but yeah. Definitely had to fix that window. Now we got it closed all the way. Brake light went out. It only does it in years.
Must be a vacuum leak. Oh, the antenna worked.
Radio works. I know. Yeah, you can play it for up to 10 seconds, I think. Is it 10 or 10 seconds? I think it's 10.
If you give credit, I think you can play it the whole way.
No, you can't.
Or you can play longer or something.
Well, there we go, man. Hell yeah. Oh, that's right. Half the lights don't work because I got the bulbs out because I was doing bulb checks. I wonder where that light's coming from. There's like lights in there. I wonder if it's from the dash or like the cluster or something. No, I pulled the bulbs out of that one because I'm gonna put all LEDs in my blue one, so I figured I'd go and.
I shouldn't have been sticking my finger.
Fire!
Oh.
I think it's a control.
Well, guys, it definitely feels good to have this thing running. I still have to look at the high idle problem. The transmission doesn't shift quite right every time. It doesn't want to go into drive. It sits there, you'll pull the column in and it hesitates. But other than that, I think we've come a long ways with this thing, and I might have some plans for this thing in the future, so stick around. Yeah, anyways, like, comment, share, subscribe, and get back to work.